your co-writer, Mary Sweeney, has worked with David Lynch before, but this was a first for you. How did you get involved with the project?
Well, Rolf, I always feel like for 1 year I was called up to the bigs. I worked as a writer, producer, director in broadcast television in the network-owned stations in Chicago, WLS and WBBM, did a lot of live television programming, and then left there and moved back to Madison, Wisconsin to raise our family, and developed a handful of syndicated cable shows and started my own production company. And Mary and I became friends because my last name is Roach and her last name is Sweeney. And so from an alphabetical standpoint, we were seated next to each other in Catholic grade school in Madison and became fast friends. And it was interesting, we were friends through grade school and high school. We just had similar interests. And as it turned out, we both went into related fields. I went into broadcast content and she went into film content. And in 1996 or 7, she gave me a heads up saying, hey, I've been editing and I'd really like a chance to do some writing. Would you like to work on a script with me? And I had kind of put my toe in the water on screenwriting prior and had written some documentaries and did a lot of writing every day in broadcast. And I write a local column, so I fashioned myself as a writer first. And so I jumped at the chance with no notion that we were going to be writing for David. And then shortly thereafter, Mary faxed me I believe it was the Washington Post article about Alvin Straight and she had a big question mark on it with a magic marker. And it's indicative of when this piece was done that she faxed the article to me rather than sending me a link. So we talked on the phone. I said, wow, this is really intriguing. And my brother, who is an audio guy in broadcast, had actually been the audio man on an interview with Alvin Straight that Good Morning America or one of the network morning shows had done. And my brother Jim said, he's a really interesting guy. And he thinks the media is a bunch of BS. So I thought that was intriguing. So I jumped in my car and traveled from Madison to the end point of his trip in Blue River / Mount Zion, Wisconsin. And just driving along those roads was real evocative. I'm a son of the Midwest. I am proud of being a Midwesterner. And the country that Alvin traveled through on his riding lawnmower with a little trailer behind is beautiful to my eye. And I know it was to Mary's as well. That's kind of how I jumped in on it with Mary. And then in short work, shortly thereafter, Mary tried to get the rights from Alvin and the Straight family. And he had already sold the rights to Ray Stark, a big Hollywood producer, Ray Stark, and Larry Gelbart, who produced MASH. So if nothing else, it confirmed our notion that it was a story. And to Mary's credit, who was the producer of the film as well, she checked with Alvin Straight a year after we tried to get the rights. And these two big Hollywood producers had let the rights lapse and Mary jumped in. And so we were able to proceed with, exploring the screenplay. And it entailed leaving Madison, Wisconsin and driving all the way to Lorenz, Iowa, which is in kind of the southwest corner of Iowa. And Iowa is a really pretty big state and pretty flat once you leave the river country. And by that time, Alvin had passed. So we interviewed his family members and then simply got on the road ourselves and tried to track his travel and interviewed people along the way who had encountered Alvin.